You are watching a team that was not supposed to win like this. Extra time. 90 minutes gone. Still nothing on the scoreboard. Millions of fans across the world are exhausted, gripping their seats, refusing to blink. But the real story of this final was never about the scoreline. It was about a team that simply refused to lose. Spain had gone unbeaten through the entire tournament. Not one defeat. Not even close. And now they stood 90 minutes from history, facing Argentina, facing Lionel Messi in what many believed was the final World Cup match of his career. You already know the ending, Ferran Torres. A close-range finish deep into extra time. The ball crossing the line after Nico Williams' header fell into his path, set up by a cross from Pedro Porro. One goal, that was all it took. But why did it take that long? Because Argentina fought like a team with nothing left to lose. Because Emiliano Martinez, their goalkeeper, produced save after save, keeping the dream alive one desperate stop at a time. Because Messi, at 39 years old, was still finding pockets of space that should not have existed anymore. Spain dominated the ball. Spain dominated the chances. 20 shots to 2. 12 on target to 0. On paper, this was not a contest. On the pitch, it felt like a war of patience. Here is the part almost nobody talks about. Managers do not usually win finals through control. They win them through chaos, through a moment of brilliance, through luck. Luis de la Fuente did something different. Under his management, Spain simply does not lose competitive matches. Before this final, his record stood at 14 wins and 1 draw. Not a single defeat. That is not luck. That is a system built so precisely that opponents run out of ideas before Spain runs out of patience. Think about what that means for a player like Lamine Yamal. Still only a teenager by football's ancient standards, carrying a nation's expectations through a tournament while carrying a hamstring injury that never fully healed. He was not at his sharpest, and it still did not matter, because the system around him did not depend on one man performing miracles. That is the real twist hiding inside this final. You are taught that football is decided by moments of individual magic. A dribble, a strike from nowhere, a save that defies the laws of physics. But this final was decided by something quieter. Discipline, repetition, a refusal to panic when the clock kept climbing and the goal refused to come. Argentina had won back-to-back major tournaments before this one. Copa America, then the World Cup in 2022. They arrived believing they could become the first team in decades to string together 4 straight titles. Instead, they left with silence. Messi in tears on the pitch, receiving a medal that marked not a beginning, but very likely an ending. And Spain. Spain now holds 2 World Cup titles. The first came in 2010, through a single extra-time goal that shocked the football world. This one arrived the same way. History does not always repeat with the same players, but it repeats with the same pattern. You watch football because you want unpredictability. You want the impossible moment, but what this final actually proved is something stranger. The teams that win are not always the ones with the most magic. They are the ones who make magic unnecessary. 90 minutes in, you thought the story was still unwritten. It had already been decided quietly, over years of preparation, long before Ferran Torres ever touched the ball. Spain kept pressing without ever rushing. Rushing is what teams do when they fear running out of time. Pressing patiently is what teams do when they believe time is on their side. Not desperation, just probing for the gap they knew would open. Halfway through the second half, Mikel Oyarzabal forced a save that drew a gasp from the crowd inside the stadium in New Jersey. 90 minutes ended locked at 0, and extra time arrived, carrying all the tension of a match still waiting to be decided. But numbers rarely capture what actually decides a World Cup final. What decided this one was belief, repeated so many times over so many matches that it stopped looking like belief and started looking like inevitability. So when you think back to that 90-minute wait, remember what it really represented. Not a team searching for a miracle, a team that had already built one match at a time, long before the final whistle ever confirmed it to the rest of the world.